you've had both of you guys cutting edge off ahead of your time for sure in high school football around here. Well, really, probably anywhere in the country. What's your playbook look like, and how much does it change from year to year?
You don't have one.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't people who come in. We literally
On
don't
video
have
and
one.
stuff. And
Yeah. Well, welcome to the table. Joining us today, Ken Leonard and Derek Leonard, the two best football coaches in the state of Illinois. And I know I might be biased, but I think I'm right. Ken, 419 wins. I know you don't want to talk about it, so I will.
419.
Winningest coach in high school football in the history of the state. And Derek, how many state titles you have now? 7 or 8?
8.
8.
Yeah.
6.
That's right.
Unbelievable. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, fellas.
With
Anything
football
for you guys.
season
Our pleasure.
upon us, we said we got to have these guys on. So it sure is good to have you. So we were just talking a moment ago. This will be your first year without being out there coaching.
Yeah.
Are you getting the itch?
No, yes and no. I watched yesterday. I watched some of our last year's game against Southeast, and it was the last regular season game, and so I'm thinking, man, well, we had a heck of a time trying to get the ball back to our quarterback, everything, then you go back into coaching mode, and so but it's good now. I've got 3 grandsons that are going to be playing, so. So I'll be out. We'll be at a lot of football games, and I'm going to go to a lot of games. I'm going to go to games I've never been able to go to, and I'll be in the end zone at Rochester some, and I'll be over it. I'll go watch SHG, but I definitely want to just stay in the background.
Yeah. So you started at it was Griffin at the time, in
Yes.
1984?
84, the 84
and
season.
now Sacred Heart Griffin, of course. So 1984. Yeah.
There was a Hembrough. The other 3 of the Hembrowes had left, right? And one left.
Just save the best one for you.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you did play for him?
No, Doug.
Oh, Doug.
My younger brother, Doug.
That's
yeah.
right, yes.
But I think that was his first
Yeah.
year. It was your first year, maybe.
Yeah.
He was a freshman.
I think
that
so.
year.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a heck of a class. That was
Yeah.
a very good class. Him and Dan D. And
Yeah.
that was good. Great
Did he play
steal.
both ways back then, or would he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a really good line. That was one of our best lines.
Yeah.
That group.
Yeah.
And we've had several, but
Yeah,
that's a good group.
Wow.
Yeah. Derek, how long you been at Rochester now coaching?
What is this? 18 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, 18.
Man,
I know
amazing.
it's a lot.
Now, you coached Brad's son, Matt. Several years ago. Tell us about that.
One of my favorites. So, yeah, he is. He truly is. Brad's one of my favorites. So that was a great team.
Yeah.
He walked in at a great time, and the poor kid just, injury.
Yeah.
Just couldn't. But, man, he had some big games at the right time. I still remember the semifinal game against Canton, and he was a great kid. He was fun. He got along. You get a lot of kids that move in, and you don't know how it's going to go, especially when they're kind of coming as upperclassmen, whether as juniors or seniors, and you just never know how that's going to go.
Yeah, you have a culture established, and you don't.
It kind of makes you nervous, and I kind of don't like it.
Yeah.
Younger kids, they have time, but man, Matt, it was instant. He got along with everybody. Everyone loved him, and it was a good marriage.
We say that Matt Wike was the greatest slot receiver that never was. 'Cause Pete Stoll and I became so close that year because we were in the training room every day or every night.
He kind of held together by duct tape all year.
He was, and I'm telling you, most years he walked in. That was Dad talked about one of the best O lines. That was probably the best receiving core I've ever had.
Is that right?
It was good.
Both Cox boys, Avante and Deontay, who ended up playing at Southern, and then Matt, and then Colin Stallworth,
was a stud.
who people don't know. I mean, he was offered by Virginia,
Michigan
State, and he just didn't want to play football. He ended up playing basketball at UIS. I mean, those were the 4 receivers we had.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
And that's with Kate Eddington below. He didn't get to play much, and he played once Matt got hurt some.
Yeah.
And Deontay got hurt that same year, didn't he? I mean, so we kind of that group never got healthy until the very end, which was a good time. But it was
I'm telling you, the Rochester families though were so welcoming to me, even as a dad, because you walk in like that.
Oh, sure.
Matt's vying for somebody's position,
Right?
And you don't know how you're going to be welcomed, not welcomed. But it was a great year and a half for us. I mean, the families we met, the people who we still hang out with them today. It was a great
Good
experience.
people they are.
And your coaching staff was tremendous. Are most of those guys still with you?
almost all of them. Yeah,
Is
from
that
that
right?
group,
This whole time?
especially since that one.
Yeah.
Coach Smith's kind of retired a little bit. Tackett's kind of gave it up, but everyone else, Nelly, Coach Beaker, Coach Warren, everyone's still there.
Does Beaker and Nelly, do they have kids coming up?
The man,
Beaker's.
they're both seniors.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, Beaker's boy's really good.
He's really good, and Nelly's boy's good, but they're both seniors.
Okay.
Now Steve's got one that's a freshman, Jack.
Okay.
And then Nelly's got a boy that's going to be in 8th grade, and they're a really good
Wow,
group.
that's great.
Really. But actually, the 8th grade freshmen going to be in the 8th grade groups are really good, so they'll have.
Yep.
So they got 4 more years. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, those kids are now
That's
seniors.
cool.
It's
That's
crazy.
pretty neat.
So
Yeah.
Good stuff. What, Ken, what are your 40 in total, 42, 43 years as a head coach?
Total as a head coach, 43 years. I had 39 at SHG, Griffin SHG, and then Fort, good old Gridley.
Yeah.
The Redskins, baby.
So you guys have built literally 2 of the best football programs in the state of Illinois. What kinds of things do you attribute to building a great culture and a great winning program that just keeps happening? People always think, oh, well, they lost this quarterback or they lost this kid or they lost that kid. They're not going to be any good next year.
Well,
and boom, here you come right back at them.
I think we were talking about it here, and I know Derek's is just like ours. I mean, family. Mm-hmm. We get everybody involved. We keep the dads away from us on football knowledge, but as far as just helping and doing things and cookouts and parties and I know Derek's got a mom's club, and I've had just those things, and then the extras that we had which the parents love, a mother-son love letter. So that one that's great. We do that once, and we do father-son love letter. So that's cool. There's some really emotional times where maybe the first time some of these kids and the dads, because I say, hey, you got to tell them you love them, and it's no negatives, just all positive, and it really is. That's very bonding and things. I mean, those are the things that make a difference, and then and of course we could always use Jesus, and we never shied down from that. That was number one. It's on the press box, as you've seen. Our goal is to be champions, which we didn't back down from. That was what it was.
Yeah, did that pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was our goal.
Yeah.
But what was our purpose was to be Christ-like, which we failed terribly. Mm-hmm. But that's our goal. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's our purpose. And I know Derek's done the same thing.
Yeah. Everything I got from him. So it's a copycat. It's what I learned, saw growing up. So he was way ahead of the curve. He won't say that, but just in how you treat people. Business is no different. You guys know, and how you from the worst player on the team to the best player on the team. You got, and everyone's going to buy in different. Everyone, hey, football's not their favorite sport. The parents think they should be playing. Just like, hey, you know what I mean? You guys should fix this carpet better. How whatever it is, it doesn't change. But you try to get those people, from the 100th kid to the number 1 kid, all to buy in, and that's hard. But it's something I learned from him, and taking care of the least of them. And that's
absolutely.
You got to get those scout team players to buy in, and once those guys buy in and they love it, then everybody.
They understand their role is just as important as the guy who's scoring every
and
touchdown.
And then the Hank Bates of the world will respect those guys more than anybody, because it's like, man, that kid's not even playing. Ready. He's not starting. He's and he's still a part of this thing. He loves it. Those are the guys you got to get going and love on, because those are the ones that make it go for you.
Yeah, that hard work, but like we said, we did character development once a week, and that's what I'm helping with Derek out of Rochester. That's the only football thing that I'm doing. I'm doing FCA ambassador, and so I'm keeping my hand in it like that too. But
So on the
character development,
yeah.
you talk about how to be a good man, good husband, good father, just how to what it's like to be a man, because sometimes these kids don't see that, and just a good person, and what's right and what's wrong, and how to be a great teammate, and we use Philippians and they're out there too, Philippians 2:2-5, and it's when you look at that, it's the best thing I've ever found about teamwork. Doesn't matter if it's a business or a team, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so it's about, hey, we all got one purpose, one thing in mind. We all get together. We all work hard. We're humble. It's all those things. So those are the things that make a difference.
Sure.
Because football is going to come and go. It goes by real fast.
Yeah.
So
But
you use the Bible then as a tool to for the character development. That's great. I didn't know if you had another book.
because there's what better book is?
Oh,
there?
amen.
Right.
Well, I agree.
And with Scripture, that's our guide.
Sure.
Yeah.
And and it's so practical, because hey, God.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've come to know too is this, when I speak at different places, I first thing I tell them, and I kind of back them off. I say, if I offend you, I really don't care.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to offend anybody, it's going to be you, not him.
Yeah.
So I'm just I don't want to offend you, but
Sure.
I'm going to say the name of Jesus, and I'm going to say things that if it offends you, so be it.
Sure.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, when it's between me and him,
Yep.
I'm second.
He is the guy. He is the guy. Yeah. So I was going to say one thing about being a former dad of his Matt playing with him. He would. I saw you light him up a couple times on the sideline, and in particular, it was the SHG game. He ran a wrong route. I don't think he knew what he was doing. He probably wasn't smart enough to read the playbook. But anyways, so he ran the wrong route, and I mean, Derek was up in his face, spitting and giving him the business. I'm like, ooh, man. Now fast forward, Matt wants to play college football. He did everything he could to get a place, D2 level.
Yeah.
Goes to Central Missouri, miserable, fighting through a few demons and stuff like that. So, but when Matt came home, one night I came back and there's Derek's car in our driveway.
Yeah.
He'd been there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff, and I think that goes a long way. It feeds into why you guys have such successful programs, because you do care about those kids. And he wasn't even in your program anymore,
Right.
and you took the time away from your family to be there for him, and it meant a lot to me for sure. But I know it meant an awful lot to Matt. So good stuff.
Yeah, I think having played football, I think a lot of folks who haven't lived in the locker room and experienced that kind of family culture that gets built, and the hard work that happens behind the scenes from great leaders as coaches, people. They think it's easy, that it just happens, that you just roll the ball out there and go do it. Yeah. And I would agree, it's the behind the scenes stuff like that that you're doing. That is just unbelievable and creates a kind of culture and family. I mean, we laughed earlier about having one Hembrough left with you. My brother Doug, you were like a father to him.
Yeah. Well, and and again, your father and mother. I mean, oh my goodness, your mom's unbelievable. She was, and your dad was unbelievable. And
in many ways.
He was tough, but you know what? We got along because we just did. Well, and it was easy to get along because Doug was really good. We call him Box, right?
Right. Oh yeah, Box. He was big and wide. He had a square head, so we called him Box. When he was a little kid, we called him Box Head. From the time he was about 4.
He was good. And so,
he could play some
But you know what? It just didn't matter. And we started a long time ago, and I know Derek does it with his program, and it's the same thing. Like at our banquet, and I know you've been to Derek's banquet, and it gets pretty emotional.
Yeah.
We have no awards. There's no individual awards in our program.
I love that.
I love
Man,
that.
And
that's awesome.
And your name is not mentioned until you become a senior. And so we got All-Americans that are juniors and whatever, and they're never mentioned. They just come up as a group. But the individuals, and we'll go, and we'll probably, and I know he does the same thing, just like that. The kid that never started and wasn't a star, we probably talk more about him than we do the All-Americans, because you don't need to talk about the All-Americans. They've already got all the accolades.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I love that.
Because those are the kids that you look for, probably, that they're going to be great workers for
Absolutely.
you. Because they went through it. Yep. They have struggled through life. And I tell them, hey, they're ready. Because when we go out there, you were a great player at Griffin. Great player. And you went to Miami. Well, guess what? You were just another guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just
On a
another
national
guy.
championship,
That's right. Yeah.
and you had to bust your tail. All of a sudden, it wasn't as easy as it was in high
Right,
school.
for sure.
And these kids, and that's what we try to get them ready for.
Yeah.
And academically too. It's
Sure.
And I know Rochester's the same way. SHG, you got to perform.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, a lot of life lessons for sure. Some of the, I think you would probably agree. Some of the greatest lessons I ever learned were not necessarily in the classroom. They were, and not necessarily in a football game.
Yeah.
no,
But what takes place,
That's right.
you know, from the time the game's over
Sunday
until
till Friday.
Yes,
That's right.
those lessons as a part of a team and the work and the blood, sweat, and tears, if you
yeah.
will.
football hurts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It does.
It does hurt.
And
You're
then you
right.
got guys, and I've had parents come up to me. Why aren't you more like your son? He's laid back, you know. Because and he takes after me. I get after it, and I've calmed down somewhat. But
Well, we love hiring athletes for sure, and then we always say that if we can find an individual, whether it's female or male, that has that locker room mentality, and you don't have to have been a football player, but wrestlers.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
wrestlers. Those are some of the hardest working kids.
Swimmers, runners.
Yeah.
Hey, cross
Motivate
country.
themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Kidding me?
Yeah, but put in the work when nobody's looking, and
right.
those are the people we want to hire if we can find them, because they always end up being pretty good employees for sure.
All about work ethic.
Yeah, like you said, about character. You know, it's what you're doing when nobody's watching you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the girls, man, they're the toughest. I mean, basketball players and they're cross country and runners and whew,
Yeah.
they get after soccer players. You know,
Yep.
so
So you got a couple coming up. How old are your kids?
Blake is 12. He's going to be in 7th. And Austin is, 8. And he's going to be in 3rd.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I hope that's right, Lindsay. Sorry.
They're already getting
I know they're
coached up a
7th
little
and
bit.
3rd. Yeah.
well,
Two totally different boys. I told
Yeah.
me and Brad were talking about that. It's funny how it works out, but
That's
I
what
love
I said,
them
you
both,
know,
but they're
like
totally
Andrew and
different.
Matt were raised the same way. Talked to, loved on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything in the household that went on in there they were basically the same.
Yeah.
And they could not be more opposite. You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah. But we'll talk about the book. Can we talk about the book?
Yeah, let's do. I understand you have a book coming out. You've been working on it.
Well,
What'd you say, 2 or 3 years?
yeah, Mike Chamness came up to us about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I think, and it was actually
And
at
I think one of Blake's
at a
football
JFL
games.
game, on the sidelines out of Rochester, and
His grandchildren.
he said,
played.
"Hey," I said, and I said, what would you write on? I mean, you just kind of,
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, let's think about it." And so we said, "Okay," and then a lot of things have happened, great and tragic, and so we said, well, maybe some people can learn a lot and help people, because hey, everyone's been through tragedies.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're in our life and you talk about scripture, it talks about, and I know Chris knows scripture really well. It's not when, and it's not if we have struggles, it's when.
Right.
That's right.
So he talks about you're going to have struggles in life, and things are going to happen.
Yep.
It's not going to be perfect. So, and we sure in the heck have went through our struggles, in our family, and things have happened, but we've been blessed, and so it's been 2.5 years in the making, almost 3 years, and Mike's done a great job, and in fact, right now this week they're putting it together. It's all done, finished, and then they'll go to press right over at Capitol Blueprint, and I think it comes out probably the last week of August, the first
so
week
it's,
of September.
That's great.
it is here. Yeah.
It's been 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And you never know when he comes up. You just, man, you don't know where a person's at. I mean, I knew Mike a little bit through his grandchildren, but you're like,
Yeah.
All
And he's sharp.
Do I have to write anything? I'm like, no. He's got to talk.
I'll interview you.
Yeah, picture book otherwise. What kind of book are we writing here?
Because one thing we didn't excel in was probably English class.
Or any class.
or any
Any class.
Yes.
So
Right.
well, he'll write it. We just got an interview, and and it's been a lot of interviews, but it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been a fun process.
Yeah.
He's done a great job. He
So
deserves.
did you guys were able to preview it and read it? Or?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So
So, man,
he
we
would
just
give us every
finished.
chapter, and then
cool.
and we just finished the whole thing, and
Kind of went chapter by chapter, and
Man, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's really
So
neat.
were
It
you
was.
guys both on the same page? Not literally with the book page, but on everything throughout the book, or were there places where you're like, I think
well, there's some things I wasn't even around when he would get interviewed, and it was almost separate at times.
Yeah.
And so Mike did a good job of putting those things together, or he would say something. I was like, I don't remember that happening like that, And so then he would double check, but that's why he would give you every chapter to read. So if something was, obviously you get told two different things, and he interviewed a lot of people too,
Yeah, I
other
bet.
people outside, and so everyone's
bunch,
story's
a
different.
bunch.
And
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
his memory's getting bad, so some people's stories were different. And so it was, but he let us read it all, and he's done a great job. He really did.
And
I'm glad we did it with him.
and he read it, and I read it, and because a lot of times there's things that I know, like with Liz.
Yeah. Yep.
like you said, we all go through our tough stuff, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And God's great.
Yeah,
Though.
unbelievable loss, I know, for
But
the whole family.
She talked to him different than she talked to Bradley,
yeah.
or to me, and things that might have been said. You didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some things she'd never bring up with me to me.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Because you're different.
She
you know?
just knew.
Don't
well,
do
I
it.
can't handle it. Number one, number two, this is what you need to deal with, And she was so talented at that she knew each person had a different positive or negative, and she was going to use that to what she told you, or what she, all those things. So
Yeah.
like Lindsay was mad at me because she had a sickness. What was her? When she drove, she liked to be at home a lot. What do they call it?
Agoraphobia. She had. She once we got her on medicine, she couldn't. When we were first married, and when we had them in Gridley, and she was not trapped completely in the house, but pretty close. And there'll be a chapter on that, and it's agoraphobia, I think. It's
But
called.
she would never.
And we didn't know.
Barely
And
knew.
As men, as coaches.
I knew, but I
hey,
didn't know.
come on,
Yeah.
tough it out.
Right,
Let's
right,
go.
right.
Yep.
You can, and in driving, she could drive around town, but she never drove on the highway, and that'll be all. We'll put that in the book because there's people out there that are like that, and so I have a real, and I know he does too, about people with some mental illness they need help, and sometimes it's, she's a very attractive woman. Everything you never know that,
Right.
Yeah.
and boom,
Yep.
it was tough, and so not many people. I don't think anybody knew it. We tried to, and we didn't want to let people know. And it doesn't matter about people knowing. It was just, that those are things that you kind of keep to yourself. And then
Right.
she got help when we moved to Springfield. Finally, we got help because she went to doctors and couldn't find anything. But
Yeah.
it's chemical.
She didn't make it a big deal, so it was never
No.
a big deal to me. So then I didn't say, Dad knew obviously a lot more than we did, but she was never going to say anything to us. Me, Brad, Phil, you know what I mean? So it was like,
I think
never
she
brought
opened
it
up to Bradley a little bit more than him because
About it, yeah.
Bradley could. But it was just they're just different
Different people,
personalities.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, she sure was some lady. I know every kid who played on Sacred Heart Griffin all those years with you guys, she was like a mom to every one of them.
Yeah.
We all watched it.
Yeah.
And like I said about you were some of those kids who playing that program. I'm sure the same at Rochester. You guys are like dads to them, and that's what builds, what you guys have built, obviously. It's a huge part.
What was it like playing for Coach Leonard as a kid growing up?
it was good.
I'm thinking you were the quarterback, right?
I was, yeah. I don't look like it anymore, but I was at one time. And it was probably a lot easier for me than the other two.
Okay.
Being a quarterback and I was probably the better one. Not I was probably the better one athletically, but also I was I was a little calmer than the rest of them, and so we always it was pretty easy for us,
and he was always, we'd go to camps, and we went to camps. We were gone a lot. I mean, that was the thing about too that people don't realize that, and people that were, knew. I mean, there's hours and hours away from the family, but it's great as your coach, because now your sons, especially when you have sons and even daughters, but sons that can be with you all the time. So that was really a blessing, and
I love that part of it. I loved going to do that.
And he always stayed with us.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, and that's kind of my oldest grandson, JP, was like that. Where Bradley was more, he was out. I mean, he was just doing a lot of other things. Always, his mind was going a lot of other places. He loved football, but it wasn't as much as him. And he was right on the sidelines. He was there, and we got pictures of it. And that throughout the book, that's what we talked. I mean, that's the big thing. And he grew up, and he had a lot of great coaches, Coach Sawinski, and so many great coaches that I've had on my staff. That so he just stayed right with him, and we'd go to camps, and he'd be helping. He usually didn't help me. He was throwing and doing stuff for all the other coaches, so everybody knew him. But he absorbed everything too. And you can see that now in his coaching.
Absolutely.
Coach Sawinski was just something I learned obviously everything from him, but Coach, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all, at what he did.
Coach,
you know what I mean, and on the offensive line, and just watching him do it, and it was amazing. I mean, he would watch the same clip with a cigar in his mouth for 30 minutes, and it was like, Coach, what are you doing? As a kid, it'd kill you, but then he would, if he liked you, he'd sit down with you and kind of explain to you, and it's just that one step, then it's the second step, and his hands are in the wrong place. But it was teaching, So a lot of people don't get to see that, and so it was like, wow. I mean, he was the best at that, and so that helps so many ways.
He was a tremendous line coach. Offensive line coach.
Still one of the best.
And that's how they are, as you know. Well,
the great ones.
Doug had Coach Reed.
Coach Andy Reed,
at Missouri.
And
so, I mean, those are the guys that got it, and John was just so step by step, and that wasn't me. I was just like him. My mind's going everywhere. Let's get them, spread them out, do it,
But that's what made
it so good. It was the combination.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have Coach Nelson now. Derek, and Derek is the same, man. He is so fundamentally sound.
Yes.
It's the little things. Sometimes you get him on a whiteboard, and it's like, oh boy, we're not doing that. But but teaching those old linemen, I mean, he can keep those guys for an hour and a half, and I don't ever have to go over there one time.
Yeah.
They don't need a football. They don't need some guys. It's like, well, when are we gonna do team? When are we gonna get together? Because they can't handle the coaching part. You know what I mean?
Right.
He can literally take them for an hour and a half, and those guys love him, and they'll do it, and they understand their jobs. But he's a fundamentalist. He's just like Coach Sawinski was. But I think that makes a great team is when you do. He's some things that I am not, and
right?
some
Absolutely.
things that he's not.
And true in sport as well
everything.
As business, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
certain folks who are looking over the whole field, head coaches, visionaries, seeing where we need to go and how we need to get there, and other folks who are behind the scenes working on, the nuts and the bolts of this thing and the fundamentals to get us where you got to go.
And I know that's why you guys have been successful in business. And I got my oldest brother graduated from Eastern. He's 8 years older, but he's president of Mars Candy Bar Corporation. And he was a just a graduate of Eastern, and now he's a whole lot richer than I am, but that's all right. One of the things he told me, and then my dad, was the successful people in life, whatever you're in, number one is they know what they don't know, and they don't try to fool people.
Yep.
And you get people around you to help you, and you're not threatened by their
That's right.
Their knowledge and their abilities, because so many coaches, I've seen so many coaches just fizzle because they don't have enough, I guess, confidence in themselves, because they can't, and they don't let people do what people do.
That's right.
And they try to do everything.
Yeah,
yes.
Try to do
they
it
coach
all.
offense, defense, special teams, and now you're stretching yourself thin, and it doesn't, wears you out, number one, and number two, that really isn't what you know. But you see a lot of people do it.
Oh, I know.
And some
I'm
people
sure.
can't get help. Just like, hey, you can't get workers now. Some people can't find the right assistant coaches. It is hard.
Yeah.
It is.
And so
Oh.
that's when you do find, and that's where he was lucky. He had so many great assistants that stayed. We had so many great assistants that have stayed.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to that. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get people that you trust,
Yes.
and that's so big.
Yeah.
And so
Well, and they stay because
they love it.
they love it. They're a part of a.
And we let them coach.
Yeah, you
And
let
they
them
get to do-
coach. You give them the freedom. You
That's
trust
right.
them to do their job, and they stay because they're part of
Right.
a bigger family. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Right.
They
it's
see what it's like
hey,
across the road, and it's like, I don't want to go over there. You
Yeah.
know, and
Coach McMahon.
Yeah,
He'd been there. He was a year older than Doug.
yeah.
You know, and so.
Yeah.
And I tell you, but it
I mean,
was.
it is like that running a company too, you know. I mean, Chris, you've been here what now, a year and a half?
Yeah, a little
I mean, I
over.
realized very quickly within a month, I just need to get out of the way. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
get
no,
out-
yeah,
and I mean
right.
that. Just, you know, there's no need. And I always say, you know, it's not that I don't care or I'm not interested. It's like, but we don't need to like double do this thing. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
You trust
you
them
are
and let's
perfectly
go.
capable. You look like you're really excited about it. I've been here 30 years and I'm kind of worn out about all that stuff. So you just take care of it. You just take care of that stuff. You know, really. I mean,
Right.
And
right.
why not? You know what I mean? He brings in a whole new energy level, and I don't need to be holding people accountable, being a micromanager when they're accountable. Period.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
and you trust them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
try. It's like, hey,
You-
it's special teams. I hate special teams. So,
Yeah.
Coach Warren, take it. You
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah.
is yours. People say, "What do you do?" I said, "I honestly don't know," and they kind of look at you like, "Really?"
I know.
Yeah,
Like, man, I
that's
don't
the way
know.
it should be when
I
you
don't,
trust
man, I
people
trust
to
them,
do their
you know.
job.
Now,
Right?
hey, there's little things, you know, like
Yeah.
don't kick to that guy back there.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
There's
That's
some
the
coaching
fastest guy around.
Don't kick to
Don't
him.
let the ball get
Don't
close
go.
to him.
Don't go over there. Just give me the ball back. Don't
Yeah.
try to block it. You know. So I have some generalities I like, but that's it.
Right.
That's how you run it. You know.
Yeah.
And
That's
Yeah.
like, you know, our social media, the SEO stuff with Jay, you know, I was like, hey, listen, you know, here's how much money you can spend. You don't realize until you start writing the checks how much it is, right? But, I mean, I have no idea where to put money, whether we're doing Google or Facebook or Instagram, whatever that is, you know, and the first credit card bill comes in, and I'm like, man, Jay, you spent some money last month, you know? And, of course, the referrals are directly reflective of that, you know?
Correct.
Google referred, you know, Instagram, whatever it is. I'm like, listen, you just take care of it. I don't know anything about that stuff. So, and it's worked well.
Yeah, it has.
funny how it works.
Yeah.
So now Brad used to do some coaching with you, right?
He did,
but he's not. He doesn't. He's not coaching
when
anymore?
he was at Bank of Spring, he first started at Bank of Spring.
Yeah.
So I had him around for probably about 8 years. So maybe 2005, 2006. He might have been the second year, and then probably to about 12. So however long that is, and then JP started getting into some sports, and then he's moved around a little bit.
He's been in insurance.
Yeah.
And he's done very well.
Doing well.
And now
he
he's
is-
back at Bank of Springfield, which
Doing insurance there,
which is
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
He loves it, and I think he'd like to get, and not with JP. I probably won't let him until after JP's done, but maybe after that. I think once he gets established, but you know, he's grinding, he's busting his butt
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
He's doing a great
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
over there, from
He
what I
is,
understand.
and so and
Yeah.
starting it up, you know,
Yeah,
and so
sure.
I think he would love to, but it's
Yeah.
And now JP's a freshman, so he's got 4 more years, and I think by that time. And hopefully he gets that thing going at Bank of Springfield where he can settle down a
Well,
little bit.
I'll tell you what, we hear tons of good things
No,
about him and what he's doing.
I know he's
over
working
there.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we do.
Yeah, and the difference between him and Derek and me is we would have been broke trying to sell because again, failure just it's but that's how he was brought up and he had a learning disability, reading and Liz just it just drive me nuts. I mean, hour after hour at night. But you know what? I guarantee you, he had a whole lot better grades than him or me.
Yeah.
He was, and then he graduated from Illinois State in business and with high honors, but that's why he's successful what he's doing because he's a grinder. You know, he's just not going to give up, and he can take a no. And just come right back.
Just keep going.
Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Because he likes football. People don't. I mean, he does love football.
does.
And he likes coaching. Oh, yeah. He actually did some of the JFL. You know, helps kind of this.
He's very good.
But he also, you know, he understands. He's smart enough to understand that I I can't split the two timing wise. I can go out and help and be if you need anything, let me know kind of thing.
So does he have a good football mind as well? Like
he does, and he was much more
defense.
He was a
He was
defensive
safety.
Okay,
he was safety, so he's much more.
At first he thought he was quarterback, and we thought, but I knew it didn't last long as a freshman, And I just said, hey, and
which probably works for us because even when he was with me, he was on the other side, and so he was, and he's got a good mind, but man, it was on the defensive side, so a lot of times it was probably good that we were separate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, man, we really never. I mean, obviously we think alike and we knew, but we were never. That's tough because he's opinionated at times. And,
he's great. I got a funny story about him. I told you this earlier, but when we were at Mount Zion and we were playing that first round, that first time we played, I think Matt was a sophomore, and I was getting to know Brad when he was with Naku Insurance.
Yeah.
And so, and I love talking football. So we go out to lunch. We just talk football. And I said, hey, if things go the way they think, I think we're going to probably meet Rochester, in the first round or whatever at Rochester. And so we did. And one of the coaches says, man, there's no way we can get film on them, blah, 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 blah. And I was coaching for Mount Zion at the time. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, I'll talk to Brad Leonard. I said, I bet he'll give us some film. And he goes, so I called Brad. And he goes, yeah, how much film you want? He goes, because we're going to run and clock you guys, anyways at halftime. So he goes, pick as many films as you want. We'll give you all of them because you will see none of those plays that Derek has, played against, say, Taylorville or, Griffin. He goes, you won't see, so go ahead and waste your time. It won't matter. And I remember coaching, and I think we had one or two good plays. I'm like, we might have a chance in this game, It's 44 to like nothing at halftime. And we were out of there in about 20 minutes. I was like, it's the earliest I'd ever been home on a Friday night.
Which wasn't bad.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You mentioned that about play, so I'm just curious. Being a football junkie, I'm curious. You've had both of you guys cutting edge off ahead of your time for sure in high school football around here. Well, really, probably anywhere in the country. What's your playbook look like, and how much does it change from year to year?
You don't have one.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't people who come in. We literally
on
don't
video
have
and
one.
stuff.
And we have. We could put something together.
Right. We have stuff.
We have base, but one thing I don't like to do is I don't like them to learn like that.
Yes.
I like it to be organic where you learn, and that was probably tough on someone like Matt.
Yes, it was.
And I had to draw up some things for Matt because it works better when it goes from freshman to senior year. And now you truly understand what we're doing.
Right.
Like JP.
Right.
JP
It's not just
wants
a
something.
play.
It's like, hey, you just keep watching. You just keep learning. Visually, seeing, doing it. Part of it is I don't want to make a playbook because I'm lazy probably. Second part is it changes so much that it's like, hey.
And that's why I asked. Every time I watch you guys play, I'm like, well, that's new. I've not seen that
Coach
one before.
Corley, Coach Corley, one of the greatest guys. I want to talk about a great assistant, and he does all the huddle stuff, just like I know Dad is huddle people.
John Allison.
So, man, you can go see all I say, hey, go watch this play. Man, they're in sections.
Yeah.
Go watch them. But I want you to learn organically. Where people struggle is, like Matt, where they come in.
Yeah.
I'd even say the Swaney kid a little bit, where that first year, it's like, man, I really put pressure on them because I don't give them, because I want you to learn it that way.
And you go fast.
And then you go fast, and then, so it's.
And a lot of different moving, and that's.
I remember the Bill.
But you have to learn it like that. Otherwise, it's not going to be genuine. You don't truly understand it, right? You can sit there and study, and you can pass the test, but do you really know what you're looking at?
It's different between book knowledge and doing something.
Well,
but some kids do learn like that, and that's a struggle. And the kids that do come in, I would say that's where we're weak at. But I do think there's something to learning it over time, seeing it, doing it over just let me learn that process. And so
I would agree.
I had it's called the rule of three. I don't know if you ever heard this, and it goes to business too, I think. It's tell them and they'll forget. Mm-hmm. So when you go on the board and you're writing it all down, you got all these kids in there, and I guarantee by the time we get out to the football field, probably 90% of them have forgot.
Yes.
Because again, it's just how life is right now. Show them and they'll know more. So video is really good and all that. Yeah. We have a playbook on video. Mm-hmm. And so that's better. Involve them and they'll understand. Then you've got something. Yeah. I'm sure just like you can't go out there, but once you show them and then have them do it, then have them teach somebody else.
Yes.
Guess what?
Yep.
That's all of a sudden that is really special. When I was at Gridley, my first year I had no coaches, me. Okay? And we had at that time, we had about 30, which seemed like a big, 30-some kids on the team, 40-some kids. And so my old coach broke down things, individual drills. And so how we did it, and then I learned from Fred Thompson. It was a Monroe at the time.
Okay.
He had great teams at Monroe.
Sure.
And my old coach. So I went to them. I said, "Hey, how you do this?" So I got there, and my seniors are always like one of my assistant coaches.
They're the position coach,
and so they're the position coach, and so they have to break down, and they have to. You let them coach, and you watch. And so that's how I had assistants at Gridley. And then I got some in, and I tell you, it works, and it still works today. And that's so important, because when you're thinking about it and involve them, because if it's just rogue memory, usually they forget. But when they've got to teach somebody else,
you got about 10 or 15 minutes on a whiteboard, and after 10 or 15 minutes,
you have to
over.
You have to
just like, man, you get 10 or 15 minutes to talk if you're having a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And some of my coaches still struggle with this.
Yeah.
They got like 10 minutes, and otherwise, because I zone out. If I'm zoning out and I love football,
those kids
I
are.
know they're zoning out. So you only get so long anymore.
It's quick.
So you got to learn it organically on the move. So there is something to that. That's
and repetition, and just do it over and over, and then tell them what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, but let them tell you. Because if you ask them, hey, okay, what'd you do wrong here? What can you do better? And then once you know that they know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk to them, and I know he's the same way, all eyes are on me. And the only person that's talking is the person that's up speaking to everyone. Oh boy, that's when I snap.
Yeah.
I've snapped. I broke some helmets before.
Once or twice.
They get my chiropractor.
Yeah.
King Gilpin. I know.
Now, will you guys still do that? Do you guys still do that Fast and Furious? Is that what it's called, the camp, where you bring the coaches? You guys don't do that anymore?
No.
Okay.
We did. We did things like that. I still do a quarterback camp, but
Okay. But not like that.
And part of
we've
that was
done
the
so many things.
Yeah, part of that's and every
And he
year
still
it
does it.
changes. Your offense changes, so that's the scary thing about a playbook too. Is
Yeah.
you took what we did last year. I mean, we were a totally different team.
Well, that's
Now
part
we
of why
had
I
some
asked.
we
You
had
looked
some basic
so
things that
different
we
from year to
do,
year.
but it was a different. So it's like, man, I'd have to go back and fix that playbook.
Over and over and
And you'd
over.
be a lot of things we do year to year, right? There's some things, the running game, there's certain things.
And what he's done, and he does the same thing that I come up with, probably the only thing I've really come up with by myself on my own, and maybe somebody else, but it's called the man offense. All right, there's 7 points to the man offense. It's really simple, and then we just put the first point, most important, get the man the ball.
Yeah.
And that's
Get
what
the man the ball in space.
Get
That's
the man
right.
the ball in space.
Yeah.
Number 3, don't block the man on defense, because you probably can't block
Can't
him.
block him
You went
anyways.
against guys when you were at Miami. You couldn't block them.
Yeah.
So now you find a way to read them, and then now as the game went on, then you can block them, and then there's other points, and the last point is make everybody on your team believe they're the man.
Yeah.
I
love it.
and it's just that
That's awesome.
those are the things that, it's that simple. And we, when we break down and get ready for a season, really that's what we're doing on our concepts and our plays is, okay, Malik Turner, we got to get him the ball 20 times. Albert, 20. I mean, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Gabe Green. I mean, whoever it was this last year. I mean, last year we had a whole.
Yeah,
we
you
had
had a
20
lot of
guys,
them.
and we could just put them all in there. That was the most athletic team I've ever had.
Is that right?
Wow.
It's not,
That's
it wasn't the biggest, but as far as just pure speed athletes, that
There's
was
7 athletes out there.
yeah. Because I said our 8th and 9th guy, honestly, could have started on any team I've ever coached,
Man, wow.
and they were the 8th and 9th guy.
That's impressive.
And it was just and we had 25 seniors, and their average GPA was 3.3, and God, they were just winners. They won state championship basketball, and they all played basketball and football. A lot of them, or played baseball and stuff. So we encourage that, and I know Derek does too. You know what? You only go through high school once. enjoy it. Do multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. We've talked about this before. I look back at the days of playing football. The absolute best time was the high school football.
No
days.
question about it.
Better than winning a national championship in college.
Yeah. Well,
There is nothing like that, at least in the football world, in my mind.
Friday night.
And it's amazing how many people say that,
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's your friends, it's who you grew up with.
Yeah, I think you're. Yep.
There's something to college, and college is awesome, but you have to come in.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
it
group
was
from
it was
everywhere,
awesome,
and it's a
yeah.
great time. The crowds are fun. So there's a lot of neat things,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
who you grew up with, playing with, people you went to kindergarten with,
Yeah.
there's something special to that, and
Yeah.
No question about it.
I think that's what
Yeah.
separates the two, just in that
Yeah.
form.
Well, and I didn't, not being from here, I mean, I really feel like the state runs that you guys have made, it brings the community together.
Oh,
I mean,
for
'cause
sure.
I mean, I never would watch SHG basketball. Never. Just would. I'm not a huge basketball guy. But then when they're making that run like they did, I mean, and you see how it brings, because that's all people are talking about in the bars,
Yep.
the grocery stores, the churches,
That's right.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially in Springfield, where
Yeah.
there's not
Huge.
really a college.
Right. It's a huge.
Tim
high school
Allen's
sports town.
done it. And again, that's one of the reasons that he wanted his basketball players playing football, which there's a lot of basketball players say the right thing. Coaches say the right thing. Oh, yeah, we want them. But they really,
Don't want them.
Tim's a great Christian man. He's
That's
a good
great.
man.
So I know we need to wrap this up. Probably we've taken too much of your time already. But as you mentioned that, I'm really curious about your philosophy of that with kids growing up today. And so many kids today at a real early age, for varying reasons, end up in one sport, focused on one sport, versus playing basketball, playing baseball, playing soccer, playing football, running track, whatever it is. I'm just curious.
We could have a whole podcast on this.
Yeah, I
this
know we could.
subject. I mean, this
Yeah,
is,
I mean, I
it's
feel pretty
ruining. It's
strongly about
ruining
it.
a lot of things. It is because then the parents become invested financially. So now they feel like,
yeah.
you know what I mean. Once you've spent all that money,
You're right.
Yeah.
and that's the beautiful thing about football right now is there's no AAU.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
summer. We have a
It is the
season.
one
It's with
sport
your
that
town.
stays
It's
clean,
still Rochester
right?
football. It's still Springfield.
Yes.
It's still, there's something to that where, and then once football's done, it's done.
Yeah.
The problem is basketball's gone year round. The worst is probably baseball. Baseball has gone totally year round.
Oh,
Yeah.
And these kids are told, well, you got to go to this thing to get better and get a scholarship.
Yeah.
And it's just not true.
Yeah.
And the problem is you see a few success stories. The Fitzgerald kid, I mean, who was there's only been a few kids that I've had that are like, you understand, like Fitz quit as a freshman. He would have been a great football player.
Sure.
But you understood, like, man, this guy's a next level guy. Jason Worth was probably that type of, and he played all three sports. I think I know he played
basketball.
He played him.
He never played
and a lot,
football.
there's a few kids
Yeah,
you
but
say,
you're
but
right.
man,
He
most
played
the other
mobile.
90% that come on, it's like I don't think
Yeah.
man,
I
enjoy
agree. I'm with
becoming
you.
an
I just
athlete.
had to ask it.
No, there's no. And again, the biggest change since I started is the kids have not changed.
Parents.
The adults have.
Oh yeah. Amen. I believe that.
You know
Yeah.
what?
I've
People,
experienced it.
it's sad. I've been saying that for years, and again, too many parents, too many dads, too many moms. They're living their life through their kids,
Yeah.
and their success or whatever it is. And they're going to be go to the major leagues or whatever, and it's just or getting a scholarship, and it's just like wow.
Yeah.
Summer
it's-
baseball used to be ran at Fairview Park, and they weren't getting paid for it. The people did it out of the beauty
Right.
of their heart coaching.
Sure.
Now there's people making money off of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's a business.
Yeah.
So all these people have teams, and they can say what they want. There's money flowing through it, and it's
Yeah.
their business. So now it's.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a big difference where we used to be ran at Southwest, or we had Fairview, we had all these summer teams, and everybody
Yeah.
played.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why there's no middleman anymore, because everybody, you can find a team, you'll pay, but they'll play you. And
Yeah.
then when you get as a freshman, you've had 32 kids that have played. Well, now only 9 can play on the baseball field,
Yeah.
and now the other 20 are mad because
Yeah.
they're not playing,
Right.
so they quit, right? But man, it's just we're in football. There was only one team. It's Rochester team, and if you haven't played, you probably haven't played since 4th grade, and so you're used to it. You just want to be on the team. So when they get on our team, they're used to being, hey, they're okay being the second team guy. They're okay, hey, they realize this is what I am, or hey, I got to work to get to this point. So there's still a little bit of that where some of those other sports don't have that. Basketball, saying you can find a team that if you pay, they'll play you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might be level A, B, C, whatever they
Right.
call it. And so then you think, oh, I'm a player.
Yeah.
And you get the freshman, they only play 5 kids on the Griffin team. They only play 5 kids on the Rochester team.
Yeah, it's tough.
How many of those kids last year came in as basketball players?
Yeah.
Ty Lott. There was a bunch of them that were basketball guys and
Ty
being
got
football
hurt.
players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he would have. Yes.
They thought they were, I guarantee you, they said, what's your favorite sport? They'd probably said basketball. And
Yeah.
you see that all the time.
Yeah.
Hey,
Keyshawn and
and Keyshawn didn't make
Jake
it, but some of them
Hamilton.
didn't make it.
My goodness,
Yeah.
and that they turned out to be the best basketball players too,
Yeah.
and playing football.
Yeah.
So
Well, what you guys have done, not just on the field, but for the community with the kind of young men that you have a huge part in producing, is stellar. I mean, it is really is something else. So, I hope you enjoy your retirement, Ken. I hope you'll be able to. I know the fire that burns in you for this
we're gonna
football thing.
go. I'm gonna go to a lot of games. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out and watch Pawnee. I'm gonna watch 8-man. I'm kind of intrigued by that.
You get to see a lot of things you've never
go-
had the
go to a lot
opportunity to
of-
go
For
to.
40
right?
years,
Yeah.
that's what people don't know. We never, I mean,
No.
we didn't get to go to much college games, which is a blessing because they would make playoff runs. So I had never,
Right.
I never went to many college games. We never went to many, from August until Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
no.
you're playing.
We did nothing.
And we couldn't go to any. We didn't go to any unless sometimes when we got beat early in the playoffs, which we were blessed. That didn't happen a lot, or you didn't, or if we didn't make it in that one year, and then we could go to watch some other practices and go and learn that way. But now I've been to a number of practices through SCA, and I'm going to go to a bunch more. And that's practices. I love the preparation more than sometimes the game.
Yeah.
Getting up once the game gets going, that's great. I hate right before. I hate that wait for the game. That's I hate it.
But for 3 months, we were trapped. I mean, not in
Yeah.
a good trap, but
Right.
man,
Yeah, you're not.
you didn't
you're
leave. You
not
didn't go
doing anything
anywhere.
else.
And a lot of people, we know a lot of people say, hey,
Yeah,
let's go to
but-
this game. And we did some fun things, but it was so hard to go anywhere. NFL games, college games, and other teams. And so now he's going to be able to go do that.
Yeah.
And
Well, in the summer too. I mean,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah,
face it.
Oh yeah.
almost June to
Yeah.
Yeah. School gets out in into May, and you're
Oh,
working all summer for the
because
season,
now
right?
you can go
It's-
25 days of legally practice, basically
Yeah.
contact days.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're
Not that
busy
we
the
ever
whole
did
time.
that before.
Yeah.
Never. Hey, you said something a minute ago. I know we're trying to wrap this up,
Yeah.
but I can't leave it. When you said the 1 year you didn't make it, was that one? Was it just one season?
We had
you
one
didn't make the
losing
playoffs?
season. That was 1998. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and you know what? We had good kids. It was a year after he left. You know, and he graduated.
Ricky Davis broke his leg
Ricky-
first game as a
second
running
play
back.
of the year.
He's at
And he
Chatham
was a
now.
stud.
He was.
And then we just had no explosiveness and good kids. We had a bunch of seniors that year, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And poor coaching and my fault. I changed.
I doubt it.
But we just like this building here.
Yeah.
I had all in '99. I had all the parents and the kids and the coaches. We all got in there with white paint, and I called it the cleansing. We went through everything. The old the old weight room at Griffin with all the
murals.
Oh,
murals.
yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Because I said we're going to change.
I love it.
We got to get. We're changing, and it was that '99. I think Bradley was a junior. Oh, we could have been sent to DCFS for that one, because it was hard. Oh my goodness,
Conditioning galore.
Oh,
That kind of
bear
started
crawls.
the offensive revolution, though, for him.
Yeah,
I know that
and
kind
that's
of was when
I
he
said,
started
you know
looking.
What? We're going to change.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to open it up. I want to do what I want to do, and let's go. And then I'll take your input. And
he
the
doesn't
other
give himself
coaches,
enough credit, with Urban Meyer. I mean, there was only a few people, and that's what
Absolutely.
today's offense is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
Rich
it was
Rod
20 years ago.
And so we got into. I was
Randy
just blessed
Walker
to-
and-
I was blessed to know some of the people, and I knew Urban when he was at ISU, but that we all learned together and it really came from high school up. People think, oh, it's
Yeah.
no, it went from high school up.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Rich
When
Rod,
Northwestern was starting to do it, and
Where was Rich Rod out of?
he was out in West
West
Virginia,
Virginia,
and then
yeah.
he went to Clemson and put it in, and
Okay.
but he stole it from another
stole it
guy.
from another guy.
I called it. He's called it. He's been spoke at our clinic before. The Godfather of the gun in the '90s, and they were doing the one back clinics at that time, and so all those things just kind of. And now Purdue was going well. Purdue, with
and they were throwing it a little bit more
oh
breeze
yeah,
out of the
And
shotgun.
we
but Northwestern was reading the defensive
and then he went
end.
to IC, and then I wish I would have done. I mean, we always were quick game and we spread at times, but it's just different. It was
Yeah.
You don't have to block as many people. Tight ends. Sometimes we had them, sometimes we didn't.
Right. Exactly.
But it's good to have tight ends.
But if you wouldn't have lost, who knows if you'd ever changed too?
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
That
Right.
was kind of the. All right, we got to do things a little
Power,
different. We have
ISO.
to.
So that's when you really opened it all.
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Gotcha. Can't tell these guys get
2000.
excited talking football. can you?
yeah. Yep.
I love it. As loud as we are.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the time.
Hey, well,
This was
thank
great.
you.
Good
guys.
luck
Thank
with
you
your
guys.
season this
Appreciate
year.
it. Thank you.
And we'll be
Anything
watching
for you guys.
I'll tell you one
Yeah.
thing. I'm not going to lose a game ever again.
That's right. Didn't lose many while you did it.
No,
before.
I guarantee you now.
Well, thank
Very
you,
good.
fellas.
Thanks.
Thank you,
And good
buddy.
luck
See
this
you.
week.
Thank
this
you.
year.
Thank you.
So, yep.